Ayoedibiri is now atop the pinnacle of Hollywood for when they need to call someone that's really awkward and likes to speak passionately about her job. It's good for her.
Great! Are you sure you haven't been drinking with us?
Okay.
From the moment they started playing supposed legendary hit Dina Simone, I knew which kind of A24 film this was going to be. They have gotten about 12% more accessible recently. I mean, I'd call like Death of a Unicorn really weird, but pretty accessible. This one is a different kind of A24 film. There's two kinds, and this is the other one, yeah. And they also managed to confuse the words weird and unique, which is how they managed to be so bizarre, but also just retread the same ground that a bunch of other films have done in the last decade. One's made by A24 as well. Opus stars ayoedibiri as a young aspiring journalist getting passed over at work who randomly gets an invitation from John Malkovich's 90s pop star who vanished years ago, has started a cult clearly while he was hiding away, and then they all get invited, a bunch of journalists alongside her, to this magical place, this ranch, I guess you would call it, in the middle of nowhere, where there is no escape for them, and all of the stuff immediately seems so culty. And guess what? There's a big twist. Do you know what it's going to be? Can you imagine what it's going to be? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I just, yeah, and it's a film that cult horror has, not that I'm saying that this is a cult, but cult horror has done a lot in the last decade. I think a lot of ground has been mashed. you know when the ground is just a muddy pulp after like Coachella, it's that. We really don't need it anymore, except if you were going, and this is almost what I hoped this was going to be and what I thought it might be for a little while, and it's not. I thought that this might be a kind of parody, because there are so many films that A24 have made that they could basically do their own scary movie on their own films, parodying cult horror. And I expected that's what this was going to be, and it's not. It's not funny. If they'd chosen to make this funny and keep most of the same story and characters, it could have worked marvelously, but it's deadly serious, and that's depressing. So they arrive at the rich guy's remote island, some weird stuff is going on, people start disappearing, everything is clearly wrong, but nobody seems to notice. That is the exact plot of Blink Twice, man. Come on, it's annoying, and there is something much more interesting to dig into here with the whole, there's a religion and a cult, and he just has these almost like magical powers of entertainment. Like, there's so many things going on that I'm kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, let's explore that more. And then I realize, uh-oh, it's time for the third act. Like, it really skips super fast from them realizing, something is kind of like up, let's investigate this further, to just immediately, let's do the crazy third act stuff. And that was annoying because it meant that there's like an hour of first act before any of that, and then just no second act. That was frustrating, and I felt like there was a lot more to dig into here, but this film is just so determined to remain aloof. It doesn't want to dig beneath the surface. The irony of her being an investigative journalist, but there's nothing going on here that it ever explains beyond just what you can obviously see is going on. And also, it's one of those films where obviously, these people are trying to, gaslight her kind of into thinking, no, there's nothing wrong, but it's shown us. It's straight up shown us that stuff is wrong. Really wrong. We know. So, what's going on? What's it trying to do as a film? What's it trying to make us, feel? Because it's not scary. It's not exciting. It's really not. And it's not actually comedy. It is taking itself deadly seriously. Even the scenes where, John Malkovich is bursting into song and doing whole, weird dancing, all this lunatic stuff, which is what made me think it was going to be a comedy. That's also played, pretty seriously. And it's kind of kooky, but there isn't an ounce of, lighthearted humor, anything in any other scene. So yeah, I just feel like it was poorly written. I feel like the ending makes it a little bit better, but not enough to redeem all the dullness and the plodding, confused, meandering plot from before that. So it's a bit of a shame. Even John Malkovich just doing that kind of crazy lunatic performance singing stuff, it was in the A24 style, so that it just didn't feel like it fit in, really. And it just wasn't as enjoyable for us to watch as, Bill Nye doing the same crazy stuff in Love Actually, for instance, So I like ayoedibiri. I'm very excited still to see her more stuff, but this was not a film that needed her, This is a film with very little to say. And it's just completely lacking in most stuff. So I'm giving, puss off, 2 stars. ayoedibiri probably should end up doing much better than this still, but it makes me nervous because kind of initially unsuccessful leaps from TV can be a big problem for TV stars, and just end them stuck in TV forever. Subscribe for a film where John Malkovich just dances constantly.